Hi, friends. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today, we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 408, Smash the Mirror. This 2-hour special episode aired on November 16th, 2014. It was written by David H. Goodman and Jerome Schwartz. The first half was directed by Egil Egelson, and the second half was directed by Ralph Hemmecker, although, like I said, this was a 2-hour special that aired as one episode. It has one title card. Streaming services are wrong when they split it into two. I'll go on another rant about that later.
Say, what is the hill you'll die on?
This is the highest one. This is the highest one. So before we get into our recapping and chatting, let's go over a synopsis for Smash the Mirror. In Arendelle, after hiding the sorcerer's hat, Ingrid goes to the apprentice to make a deal with the sorcerer. She will return the hat in exchange for a third sister to complete her family. She tries to turn Elsa and Anna against each other, but she underestimates the power of their bond, and Elsa frees Anna so that they can find the magical urn together and use it to stop Ingrid once and for all. Having thought they won, Elsa and Anna attempt their plan to stop Ingrid, but she has the upper hand. Ingrid reminds Anna of a story they've both read, known as the Trolden Glass, that tells the story of a king who created a mirror that ultimately made everyone see the worst in those they loved. This is more than a story. The spell of shattered sight is very real, and Ingrid enacts it on Anna to show Elsa what her sister truly thinks of her. She hopes it'll cause Elsa to attack Anna, but it goes too far, and Anna traps Elsa in the urn. In her rage, Ingrid freezes the whole of Arendelle, becoming the monster they believe her to be, and takes Elsa's memories of her, as she learned more than she was meant to. When Rumple comes to collect the hat, Ingrid does not give it up at first, and only considers it when Rumple takes the urn with Elsa inside of it. Ingrid is about to give up the hat to get back Elsa, just as the apprentice appears and convinces Ingrid that she will have her three sisters, Elsa included, if she returns the hat to the sorcerer. Ingrid agrees, and walks through a portal to Our Land so that she can wait for her sisters to be reunited. And in Storybrooke, distraught by how her powers are out of control, Emma attempts to isolate herself from the others, but ends up hurting Henry by accident. Elsa tries to explain that Emma's powers were so out of control that the burst was because she was trying so hard not to hurt him, but it doesn't help. Despite Ingrid's insistence that her magic can be controlled, Emma goes to Gold to find a way to rid herself of her powers, and Snow and Charming decide not to interfere because they think maybe she will be happier without her magic. Meanwhile, after their night together, Regina shows Robin the book that keeps her from having her happy ending, sending him on the journey to finding this author so that he can help Regina have the happy ending she desires. After Regina helps Henry with his injury, she convinces the Charmings that letting Emma take away her magic, the thing that makes her special, is the worst idea they've ever had, and the group go out to find Emma. Robin takes to the library to find some clues as to who the author of the storybook could be, and finds a new page in his bag, one that matches the page number to the picture of Regina running away from the tavern, but this time with a new ending. He believes this is proof that Regina can have the happy ending she desires, and they can be happy. Once Emma arrives at the sorcerer's mansion, Mr. Gold sets up the sorcerer's hat to consume her, and convinces her that all will be all right if she steps through the door to complete the spell. But Elsa gets to her first. She helps Emma see that the love of others isn't enough to control her magic. She has to love all parts of herself, and accept that she won't hurt the one she loves, ultimately helping Emma embrace her powers. With this new revelation, Ingrid is able to enact the magic of her ribbons, one that connects the three of them and allows her to harness their magic so that she can finally enact the spell of shattered sight over all of Storybrooke. Da da da.
10 years later.
That was a synopsis. We say that a lot, but that inarguably is the longest one because this is one cohesive episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it was a 2-hour special. Streaming services are wrong, and further proving my point of it's one episode. The second title card is blank.
Yeah,
there's nothing on it. Like at the very least, they could have kept the same. I think it's like the bug is on the first one.
Yeah, it is.
So like, at the very least, they could have copied that one, but no, there's just nothing there.
There's just nothing there.
So furthering the point, this 409 Smash the Mirror Part 2 should not exist.
No, it should be all one, like we just did last week with the Bleakening, because they split the Bleakening up in 2 episodes as well. And it's like, nope, it was one. It was a whole hour special.
Streaming services are wrong.
They are. But, we get to do this our way. So it works
exactly.
out.
So this is Lauren. Like, we're doing this the correct way. This is 408. This way, the numbers. So if you're not used to the numbers that we'll be using for the rest of season 4, too bad.
I didn't do it. I'm just doing what I'm told.
No, you're fine. I don't fault you. Because when I did the statistical analysis rewatch the first time, and I was at season 4, and I told people, like, if you want to hear like the notes that I wrote down and the score as I'm going, let me know. And then people started requesting stuff for season 4, and I was like, okay, hang on. You can't just put the number anymore because I don't know what episode you're talking about. Because if you tell me if you tell me 410, and they mean fall, I'm going to do Shattered Sight, and then you're going to be mad. So you have to give me the title as well, or at least what's in the episode. Then I can like tell you exactly which one it is.
So I just start off my notes with, this is a very complex trauma response. Ingrid's whole storyline is just a very complex trauma response. And then you add in the possibility that looks to be isolation. And I'm just like, oh, okay. This is, we understand. You've been hurt. We understand.
Ingrid is a walking trauma response.
She really is. She's a walking trauma response. I did have my little giggle at, good sleep.
It's the best sleep he's had in a very long time. I went, yeah, I bet it was Robin Hood. And then she looks so proud of herself when she does that.
She's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I still got it. I still got it. You have those moments in motherhood, I feel, though. Like when that happens, you're just like, I still got it. Thank goodness.
But it's Regina. Like,
it's Regina.
I know. I mean, I know we can't see ourselves the way like other people see us, but like, come on.
That's fair. I do agree with Robin, though. It does count as the first time if you haven't left the room yet.
I love that scene. I rewatched that scene after watching the episode. I just watched that scene mainly because I love their dynamic in it, the way they act it. Because if I can remember correctly, the nose kiss was unscripted, which makes sense because that's Lana. She does that. The fact that he just leads her by his thumbs, he doesn't really need to do much of anything else. But when he says, if we don't leave this room, and I think it still just counts as the first time, she makes a little face at him, which I'm like, that feels like Lana was goofing off and they just left it in.
Oh my goodness.
Because she makes a little like, ooh, she makes the she's like, oh, kind of face.
I mean, she really is one of those actresses that just has chemistry with everybody.
She has chemistry with a broom handle.
Honestly.
She has chemistry with a spoon.
Spoon Queen.
We haven't talked about Spoon Queen enough on this podcast.
We haven't. It's been a while.
It has.
Does everything come back to the clock tower?
That's basically the focal point of the town.
Okay. I was like, okay, clock tower again. That's fine.
Whether we're above or below it, it's the focal point because it's more or less dead center.
I'm enjoying that they've all picked up that, how much Gold cares about Henry. And they're like, no, I don't think he's going to harm Henry. Like they all seem right now to be like, we're going to use Henry against you. We know how you feel. But then at the same time, I'm just like, Gold has made me feel so many emotions in this episode.
Yeah, fair. He has a tendency to do that.
He does. Because I'm like, it's obviously a trap, but it always great. Is. Keeping up with the hat has been a fun time because I swear we keep seeing this not stupid hat, this hat everywhere. And I'm always trying to figure out, okay, who has it now? Who's doing what with it? Because all the flashbacks, it's Ingrid and the hat. And then you come back to modern time. Nope, that's Gold.
Well, yeah, because in the flashbacks, it started with obviously the sorcerer and apprentice had it. Rumpel used Anna to steal it, but she got it back from him. Then Ingrid took it. Then she hid it and dealt it away with the sorcerer, but she didn't give it back to them yet. She just, she made the deal. Then Rumpel wanted it, but then didn't. Now we know why the urn is in his vault of magic. He doesn't understand. It's not because he doesn't understand it. It's just the safest way. It's the safest place to put it.
That makes sense.
So that makes sense. But then Ingrid gives it back to the sorcerer. So in Storybrooke, when they have their honeymoon moment in the first episode, that's when Rumpel sees it in the mansion and he takes it. That's the whole chain of custody there.
There's a chain of custody. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm glad that I did it off the top of my head too. Go me.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't write a ton from the first part.
Okay, that's fine.
I literally at one point was like, okay, first of the two were kind of boring, so give me more in the second half. And they did.
Yeah,
they did. So I did get a little bit bored in the first half, but the second half definitely swooped in and was like, never mind, I'll shut up now. I wrote down a line, this could be the worst idea you've ever had, and you hired the Wicked Witch as your nanny. I love it so much.
It's such a good dynamic for the three of them, though, because especially you have that, and then after, do you know what I regret most?
Mm-hmm.
The countless innocent lives you destroyed, and then Regina continuing on, like the eye roll she gives him. This is the "I'm done talking to you now" face, and like it's a good because it's a sibling dynamic that she has with the two of them, and it works so well.
I'm really enjoying it because I wrote that line down too because I'm like, that is a logical response too of like, you would regret all the innocent lives you've ruined over the years.
It's not pertinent to the. She's more less of this. That's Regina's face of context clues. Idiot number 2. Like, what else could I be talking about right now?
Oh no, I think I have a moment here later on that I just wrote, Emma, don't be dumb like your dad, please, because Charming has so many times just done stupid shit.
That's Charming.
And I'm just like, Emma, don't take after your dad in this moment. Just nope. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
I made my own little joke. I don't remember this Norse tale.
No.
It's not a real one.
No, it's not. I can go over that now if you want, or I can wait till I get to the fun facts. Okay. So they call a part of this episode is the origin of the spell of Shattered Sight, which they call it because I actually Googled it to be on the safe side to make sure it wasn't real.
Mm-hmm. It's not. I knew when they were saying it, I was like, nope.
No. So it's what Ingrid says is a old Norse tale, the Trolden Glass. Essentially what it is a reworked version of the introduction from the Hans Christian Andersen story, The Snow Queen.
Oh, I like that. Like, that's pretty
basically, cool. Yeah. So the Trolden Glass, I wrote down like what it is they say about it, which to be fair, it starts off with the lovely line of a book report would be a lot easier if you'd let me go. The other option is I kill you, which was so well performed. It's about a Norse. So Anna's line, it's about a Norse king who had a beautiful daughter he loved dearly. He wanted his daughter to be able to see the beauty he saw in her. So he had a mirror made for her birthday. But the day before it, she died. So instead of reflecting her beauty, it reflected the ugliness of his pain and sorrow. And then Ingrid continues with, he was so devastated, he decided his kingdom should share in his pain. So he spent years harnessing dark magic, used it on the mirror, and cast a spell over his entire kingdom. It made his subjects see only the worst in the ones they loved, and they turned on each other, destroying themselves. That's the Trolden Glass. The introduction for the Snow Queen, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the long and short of it is a demon created a mirror to mock humankind, essentially. It's a looking glass that when anything good or beautiful is reflected in it, only ugliness and pain and sorrow are reflected back.
How's Hans doing? Just curious. How are you doing, Hans?
Closeted. Extremely closeted. He wrote The Little Mermaid.
I know, but that was just the perfect response.
So that was, that's the sort of is a devil created this mirror that would reflect, to mock humankind. And like once the demons were done mocking humankind, they wanted to carry the mirror up to heaven to mock the angels and God. And the mirror was, every time they would fly higher, it would tremble with like the sorrow steeped into it and the pain and whatever. And as they got that much closer, they dropped it and it shattered and glass went everywhere and embedded in people's eyes. So all they could see was,
blood?
Was the what? It's a fairy tale. All they could see was the ugliness and worst in those around them. And there were basically it was like the things that embedded in their eyes were like the tiny particles kind of thing, or like you would inhale or whatever. But like big pieces were still there because there's a whole thing about how you could make like actual glasses out of this looking glass to counteract the spell, basically.
Okay.
There's a whole so that's where Shattered Sight comes from. It comes from that introduction of Snow Queen, where there is a mirror created by a demon that makes you see the worst in everything around you.
All right then.
The Trolden Glass is not a real Norse myth, but The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen is a real fairy tale. So like I was saying, they brought in elements of the original story. Like this is probably the most explicit way they did that, because most of what they pull from is the Disney version. Like I'll say this, like for any of the fairy tales that they use, most of the time they're pulling Disney.
Most of the time.
People don't realize that until they start asking me questions of like, I think the Frozen arc was bad because they only did Disney and not the real fairy tale. And I'm like, counter, flip it, look at everything that they've done. Because quite frankly, it's like bold of you to say something so boldly and so courageously and yet so incorrect.
That's possibly somebody who doesn't even realize that the Snow Queen is actually a fairy tale.
No.
It wasn't just Elsa and Anna.
Exactly. And like, I'll admit, this is the first time that the costumes are so movie accurate, but like, they're gorgeous, so who cares?
This page just popping up. out of nowhere. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's interesting, right?
What's the author doing? Because that's what it feels like. And it's very interesting. And I'm really enjoying Ingrid, and I'm loving the Frozen arc, but I know the Frozen arc's coming to an end.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's okay. I'm ready for that to end. We're good. I'm there at that point, but I'm like, give me more of this, please. I really, really love the whole writer, who's writing this, where's this book from, they're controlling our lives, I want a better, like, and then seeing that there are other possibilities. I'm just kind of sitting here like, I need this now. And I really hope I enjoy it very, very much, because it's interesting watching this, and like, it's been so much fun. And because I remember, what was the book I read that everybody seems to like and I didn't like? I loved the premise, but I didn't like the people. A novel love story, how it's like she's existing in her own, which is very cute. It's kind of like what we get to see existing in fairy tale stories that we grew up and loved.
Yeah, it's like what if one day one of us walked into Storybrooke and all the characters are real? That's what it would be like.
Exactly. So it's like knowing about the writer aspect of this, I'm just like, this is getting even more interesting, because it gets a little bit more into it, a little bit further into what I'm interested in. I'm just kind of sitting here like, how long does this arc go? Please tell me I get lots of this and it's enjoyable, because I'm loving this storyline very, very much.
The storyline that involves the author and what he's up to and what he has planned culminates in the season finale.
Yay. Oh, okay.
You have the entirety of season 4.
I love that. Because TV that we get now, there's some really, really great shows out there, but you're telling me I get 23 episodes of this.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, technically speaking.
Or 22. Sorry. Yeah, let me fix that before I get yelled at.
No, I wasn't gonna yell at you for that. That's not what I technically meant. I'm not that big of an asshole. Generally
not
speaking.
Today.
Not today. Not to you.
No, never.
No, technically speaking, the role of the author and what the author can do, because the author it's in this case, I'm talking about there's author with a capital A and author with a little a. There's author, the title, and author as the character. The title of author, that goes through the rest of the show, basically. We're going to always be finding out little bits and pieces about the author of the storybook, because we'll find out the author of this book is not the only author that we've ever had.
Makes sense.
Which is a cool twist, and the way they do it works. I think it's a fun fact when we get to it. But
it makes sense if you look at it before you even get there. It's multiple different stories across different folklore and fairy tales. It's not just one fairy tale book.
I love that you said that.
Okay.
You're onto something there. Just pay attention to it.
Something. Oh, I know something.
But yeah, so we'll see that. But the story of this author, the one who wrote this storybook, who put that page in Robin's bag, their story culminates in this season.
Okay.
And he does show up, I think, once in season 6. Or maybe season 5. He shows up one other time. But eventually. Not for very long. But there's a lot, because the author has a lot more to do with our Queens of Darkness.
I'm so excited. Like I said, this isn't a situation like last time where I'm like, I'm really hating this storyline. Please give me something else. It's very much, they've done enough with this, with Ingrid. They've we've gotten plenty of backstory. It's so much better put together. So much better. And I'm okay with it ending. Like, I'm okay moving to the next arc.
Because it's satisfying. I think that's the case. This time this one, as I always say this, I think this arc would have benefited from more episodes, especially because, and I do have a little thing about why I actually think the flashback stuff has felt unbalanced this whole season, and I still stand by that. But I think all of their arcs could benefit from more episodes, quite frankly. I think it would give us more time to digest things. We'd get a little more story. We get to see things more than just hearing it from the characters' perspectives. But ultimately, with our 11 episode or 10 episodes of arc, whatever, we have enough time to understand Ingrid as a character, and her storyline comes to fruition in a very satisfying way, I think. And it comes through in the right amount of time. Like it's not so much that we're sick of it, and not so little that we're like, wait, what happened? Like, where was she? Where'd she go? So we have next week is a good build up. It's our penultimate episode for Ingrid. It's a nice big build up of them trying to stop the spell of Shattered Sight and then failing, because there's an episode called Shattered Sight. The curse is going to get cast. But
see, they do that. They do still cast quite a few curses in this.
But they're different curses this time. It's not just the dark curse. It's a curse.
It's another one.
It's a different one. It does different things.
So my disdain for gold continues. I don't know. I know people love him, and I'm like, I don't know if he'll ever get redemption. But even if he technically does in the show, I don't know if he'll ever get redemption from me.
No, that's fair. That's a fair way to put it.
What do you mean? He took Hook's heart. I just went, wait, Gold needs what? And then I wrote all caps, don't take Hook's heart. What the fuck? I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, what? No.
Aren't you glad though you only needed to wait like one episode to find out what the thing was that got whispered in his ear? It wasn't like being stretched out for like a month.
I am happy about that, but I'm also just sitting here just like, I finally found a character I really like.
Mm-hmm.
And now Rumpelstiltskin won't leave him alone.
Well, just like I said, he's a cockroach. Don't worry. Like genuinely, because I have a whole thing about stakes and how they can get messed up the way you're viewing things. If I ruin this for you, don't worry about Hook's life. Really don't.
Okay, good.
Really don't. Like,
he's just so pretty. I don't want anything to happen to him.
But Bobby so ate up the line reading of "You're my oldest friend."
I love that.
His heart.
So good. That entire scene was made better because, like, I understand the stakes with Emma and everything going on, finding the control for her powers and everything else. It's meant to happen, but I just have that whole part of the story. I've just been kind of like, she's gonna get control over her powers. That is just how this works.
No, that's effectively the least interesting thing, and this is my rant about how stakes change when it comes to viewing things. Because even when this aired, like I had this thing of, we are in the 8th episode of a 22 episode season. The main character's not dying.
No,
like it changes the stakes of its anticipation. It's how she gets to that salvation at the end. So how does she get control of her powers? I thought going from accidentally blowing things up to fireworks was a bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
but given the fact that the writers originally wanted to, and I actually think this is the same writers who did this the first time, and they decided that it was too much of a stretch. Actually, let me double check that, because actually, in 317 with the magic lesson, they originally wanted Emma to conjure a dragon to save herself. They went, maybe that's a bit of a stretch for her magical powers and her abilities, and then the CGI team changed things. Is this the same writers?
I was about to say, yeah.
It is one of the same writers. Yeah, this episode is David H. Goodman and Jerome Schwartz. That episode is written just by David H. Goodman. So he has a tendency to forget he doesn't really pay attention to how much control characters should have over their powers.
Yeah, bringing on a dragon's a bit much.
Also considering dragons are creatures, not objects.
Yeah.
Because we have Mal. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a man wrote it situation.
Speaking of a man saying something, though, you knew I was a thief when you met me. One of the best lines in this episode. Like, because he's so straightforward and blunt with it. She says her thing. He goes, you knew I was a thief when you met me. Like, it was perfect.
You remember this? The book you apparently stole from me? Yes, I remember it quite well.
Yep.
Her happy ending is not a Stephen King book on tape, unfortunately.
Oh, God. There were a lot of good
I have so many lines in this episode.
I'm ending on mine after I rant about something for a second, because
right
it's not even the full line that I ended on. It's just me going, ooh. Just another random portal.
Yeah.
Another portal. Oh, we can't get a portal unless, it needs it.
There's a reason why the apprentice can conjure portals. I'm just going to say that.
Is the apprentice even an apprentice?
Technically, yes, because he can never actually be the sorcerer, because we'll find that's an arc for season 5.
That's fair. Because it had me questioning, you never see the sorcerer, you never seem to see him, and then you always see the apprentice, and I'm just like, is this a front?
It feels like it, but no.
It feels like a front.
It feels like a front because here's the thing: is he looks much more like the sorcerer from the Sorcerer's Apprentice, the cartoon, but he is in fact Mickey Mouse. His name is Yensid.
Oh my God.
Like, we'll see that. We'll see. I'll point out the shot of that from.
He is in fact from Mickey Mouse
from 412, but no, he is in fact Mickey Mouse.
And my last line, don't ask me the full line of this. I just got really excited when she said, "And decorate this place with your bones," and I'm just like,
that's the line that I've been using as the example for her soft spokenness. I have the whole thing written down. Do you want to hear it?
Yes, please.
Okay. So about the ribbons, like it's like, you see, these ribbons were of no use to me until this moment. They can bond 3 magical sisters together, but only if all of us are a perfect match. Then he asks what constitutes that. When all 3 have embraced their powers, which we now have, thanks to you. Now I wield the magic of my 3 sisters. Now my mirror is complete, and with this power, I can finally cast a spell over all of Storybrooke. I could probably even defeat you and decorate this place with your bones. Shall I try? She gets so quiet. She gets quieter and quieter, but that's the thing that I'm not exaggerating how quietly she whispers the "shall I try." Because, and I have a whole thing in here about her using her voice in this episode because it's so fucking good. But
it's so good.
It's her, she just gets quieter and quieter and quieter as she threatens to murder the Dark One. And I love her. But I think I finally figured out, though, why the scenes between her and Rumple are so compelling and so evenly matched.
Ooh, why?
Compared to other ones. Let me find it in my notes. So what I wrote is, it's probably the most evenly matched pairing we see, Ingrid versus Rumple. Because Ingrid's powers, while mostly of snow and ice, are highly potent but stable currently. But she has the same lack of empathy for humankind, except for those she cares deeply about, just like Rumple. That's why they're so evenly matched, because they ultimately have the same goal of destroy everyone else so that I can be happy.
I like it.
Other villains don't tend to have that. Like other villains, they tend to have other ulterior motives, but that very specific lack of empathy, or the total apathy, basically, for anyone else. Because that's what Ingrid's plan is. The spell of Shattered Sight is designed for them to see the worst in those around them and kill each other so that only the three of them are left.
Oh, that's going to be funny.
It
is. Like, watching everybody try to kill each other.
Genuinely, no, I know you're saying, genuinely, it's hilarious.
I can't wait. What does Leroy do? Who does he go after?
I was like, I don't remember if he's actually in the episode.
I'm be pissed, man. He's such a good actor at being angry. Like, he's so good at the grumpy.
Let me check the IMDb credits. If anything, he might just like bump up against Killian at one point, but I don't think he's actually in it. It's been a while since I watched the episode in its entirety, but yeah. I don't remember him.
That's a missed opportunity if you don't have Grumpy going after somebody.
Now, let's see.
When everybody's trying to kill each other. Like, that's because he would be going for like Sleepy or something.
You have Doc going after Dopey. Oh, no, he's credited in it, so he's in it somewhere.
Okay. I can't wait to see where you have forgotten where he is.
If it's not surrounding one of like... I'll admit, I have more than half. I think I have at least half of that episode memorized. I have all of Snow's lines memorized, I've realized.
Not surprised.
She's got some fantastic scenes in that episode. And some amazing lines that I don't think I've ever actually told you is actually one of my favorite quotes from the entire show.
Oh, this is the one that I've been waiting for this whole time?
It's one of them.
Okay. It's because I know there was one that you couldn't tell, like you have favorites you can't tell me, obviously.
No, this one
I've been waiting for.
This one's not a spoiler. It's just a case of without context, it doesn't make any sense. But it's also a case of I want your experience with Shattered Sight to be as pure as possible.
Right.
Like I'm really like I don't even want to like tease any lines or anything. I want to, but I won't.
I have squirrel brain, but a week in advance is not long enough for my squirrel. Well, still, that is not enough time period for my brain to forget. So you're like, nope, this is not like a year out. This is 2 weeks out.
Exactly. Like not like when I gave you the whole like quote stuff from like something in season 7, that like a couple weeks ago. That's different.
Are you kidding me? The shit you probably told me in season 1, my brain has no fucking clue. I'd have to go back and actually listen to the podcast again to know what the hell you told me back then.
Well, to be fair, so far in this episode alone, I have quoted an episode that we'll see soon already in this episode.
Yeah, like you do it all the time. And so it's just going to be funny if I go back and listen to it. Because, I mean, we do listen to our own podcast a lot, but usually in editing.
No, yeah. And like you don't listen to these, so it's a little different. And
not as much, no. I do from time to time when I'm like, ooh, that was a good one.
No, it's okay. Perfectly understandable. Our stats are actually doing pretty well. So even without us listening to our own podcast.
Well, I'll be sitting down tomorrow to get a lot of work done that I'm very behind on. And everybody who follows the Instagram knows Katie's really terrible at staying on time on things.
Well, hopefully by the time this comes out in June, you'll be slightly more on top of things.
You know, that's the goal. That is the goal. But I'm hoping to get the lovely post out soon of y'all, I need y'all to come join Patreon so Lauren has to watch the show.
Oh, God.
I can't wait to edit that and get that posted.
We're trying to, yeah, that's recorded for posterity. I can't get out of that now, can I?
That's why I did it when I did it. I'm like, this is recorded. Because I don't give a shit if we watch it or not. I just want to like really challenge our fans, find more fans, hopefully, because who knows out there? Someone may be more obsessed with that one than they are once upon a time. You never know.
Yeah, I'll admit, I when I used to do like the once lives, I didn't get that many Once in Wonderland questions, so I don't know how popular it is in hindsight anymore.
I'm curious.
I don't know. I get a lot more. I used to get a lot more questions. And what do you think about season 7? Because I think season 7 is terrible. And I'm like, well, if you're going to give me your opinion like that, I'm not even going to tell you. And to be fair,
you start off with how much you hate something, why are we going to discuss it?
Because my answer is just going to make you mad. Because my answer, shocking as it may be, is fairly neutral. Is I like it and I think it's different. I don't think it's terrible, but also
it's not like the extra season of Scrubs that was just completely out of left field, so not needed.
Like, because if you take it in context of the entire show, it slots in just fine. Yes, it doesn't have the characters that most people would prefer. I got very lucky. Regina stays on. Because they knew, because we joke about they're not idiots.
They need to keep somebody that people really love.
They knew that if they kept Lana, Colin, and Bobby, they were keeping a good chunk of their fandom.
Yeah.
They're not, there's like, they understand who brings the viewers, generally.
Those are definitely 3 reasons I would continue to watch. Because even though we always shit on Rumple, we love Bobby.
Exactly.
I'm going to keep saying that so people don't ever don't listen to them. They're horrible. No, we love him.
We critique the writing. Honestly, that's exactly it. We critique the writing, but we generally praise the performance regardless.
Oh, he does a great job as Rumpelstiltskin.
Which I definitely understand. Great job. Because I understand this take for younger viewers. They don't understand that we can be like this. They think if you must think he does it terrible. Like, no. I think if he did a bad job of acting, I probably would have more remorse for this. I'd have more I'd have more grace for this character.
Yeah.
If he was worse at his job.
But he's so good at his job. That's why you end up disliking the character so much, because Bobby does such a good fucking job. You're just like, oh, this guy's really the character's really shitty. This is really good, but because doesn't mean I have to like the character.
Exactly. We can enjoy the performance without enjoying the character, because he's so much fun to watch.
He really is.
It's like I was like, it's when the writing is focused on him. I'm like, I don't care. Which is why this season as a whole works so well, because his villainy of trying to garner enough power for the hat to cleave himself with the dagger is so secondary to everything else going on. And I don't think there's ever one entirely Rumple-focused backstory episode in the entire season. With that. He drops in all over the place. Like, he's constantly involved, but it's never focused on him, and that's what I prefer.
But I like that though, because it shows just how much the Dark One is threaded through everyone's stories. Yeah. He has his fingers in everyone's stories.
This is a line that I can tease that's coming up in 4:12. The reason for this little tete-a-tete-a-tete. We all have something in common, apart from mutual distaste. We're villains. And it's time the villains got their happy endings. He's just so good.
I can't wait.
See, I
have to wait.
That's no context. But that also doesn't require it. It doesn't require any context.
It makes enough sense in my brain.
Exactly. And you know who's coming. So
it's not really ruining it, because I'm just like, yeah, I fully would expect him to say something like that.
There's going to be so many quotes highlighted in the first few. I mean, in the entirety of 4B in general, and most of them are going to come out of Gorilla's mouth, quite frankly.
I can't wait to meet
what's really fun. We're recording this on St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, 3 months later. And Victoria Smurfett, who plays Corella, she was the Grand Marshal in the Dublin St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Oh, I love that.
Which apparently was the first time she'd ever actually been to the parade. She's like, first time I'm here is literally leading it. That's fun.
And now Lauren's going to tell me about all the fun things about this episode for a half hour.
I don't have that many. I have actual fun facts, but not
That's just my joke of, I was like, see you in 5 minutes when you went to read your synopsis, and you did in fact take 5 minutes to read the synopsis.
With pausing, because my neighbors were being loud.
That's fair.
So as I said before, this episode aired as a 2-hour special. It has subsequently been split into two episodes. Everyone else is wrong. I'm right. It's rare when I do that, where I'm like, no, I'm right, you're wrong, but there's nuance to think. No. This episode is named after the song Smash the Mirror by The Who. So it's another one of the episodes that is named after a rock song, which I'm now learning how many of these are like that.
That's a classic rock.
Makes sense. What the comic book that Regina pretends to read is an Ultimate Comics Wolverine Legacies. It's an issue that was released in July of 2013, which is appropriately timed as the timeline for Once Upon a Time is about a year behind when it aired.
Okay.
So we're talking early fall of 2013 is when this would be taking place. So it came out in July. That makes perfect sense. Some of the other books that we can see in the library when Robin is there with Will, we have Thriving on Chaos by Tom Peters. Vocabulary of the Greek Testament by James Hope Moulton and George Milligan, and Cashel Mara by Susan Howitt. That was just, he had some book titles for us. Among the library shelves, there were also some other books for dreams and mysteries, words that I should have figured out that I can't pronounce, so I'm not going to read those. And a lot of schisms.
Lots of schisms, gotcha.
And divinatory graphology. Whether these are real words or not, I have no idea. This is just what the wiki told me.
Okay, then.
We have a reused prop, which the lantern that Elsa was using as they searched throughout the Arendelle Castle is the same lantern that Snow used in The Queen is Dead.
Nice.
It is also the same prop that Mary Margaret and Emma use in Queen of Hearts. So we see that multiple times. And then I thought this one was actually kind of adorable, especially because for me it comes with a blooper brain rot. The library book that Robin pulls, because when they're pulling stuff that just kind of looks like the storybook, what he pulls is the 1988 Mercedes-Benz 560 SL. I can't even read this properly. 1988 Mercedes-Benz 560 SL repair manual. The blooper of that is literally Sean playing himself and reading it, and he's messing up, and you can hear someone off camera just go, "Just read it." He went, "Reading it, I'm reading it incorrectly." So
it's like us every time we do this.
Like, I wrote this. Like, what's funny about this is that is a repair manual for Regina's car.
Oh my God.
She drives a 1988 Mercedes-Benz 560 SL.
That's funny.
I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, that's adorable, honestly. So I mostly, I have a lot of quotes written down and other things that I want to like talk about with Ingrid and her being a walking trauma response. I did, in addition to that, was the best sleep that I've had in a very long time. I did enjoy, there it is. There's that elusive but satisfying smile I think about every time I close my eyes. Like, I know that it's technically adultery because he's married, but like
technically,
and like his response to Regina saying about, the author, I don't even know if it's a he or a she or an it. I've been looking everywhere and I've been failing. And his response being, point me in the direction of this author. I'll be happy to have more than a conversation with him. Like, this is the energy
Yes, this is the romance that we're always looking for in books, y'all. This is it.
Don't settle for less than that.
Honestly.
Because it's just, and again, like I said before, that scene just is so much of Lana and Sean's comfort with each other, which I feel like they slotted into much easier, weirdly enough, than Jen and Colin. Because I know Jen and Colin are very good friends. Like, they are. Like, we watch videos from them from conventions. They're very close. But I feel like they got it so much sooner.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what that says about anything. It's an observation. But Ingrid's thing about Henry with the fear in his eyes, like, I just got her line of, I know how you feel seeing the fear in his eyes. Like, although in Emma and Henry's case, he's more afraid that Emma can't control her powers, like, and he wants to help, like, for her sake. He's not afraid of her. Exactly. Ingrid's another situation. Like, she's like, but it's like whatever, but we all see what we want to see. But then also when Robin picked her up and they fall back onto the bed, the evil queen giggled because she did.
She did.
This was something that I found really interesting, and I'll put links to a thing that has receipts. Because I'm not crazy. There were multiple lines in this episode that seemed like they were digs at Happy for some reason.
Yeah.
So basically, once Elsa says the thing, so she says the thing of like, she hurt Henry because she tried so hard not to hurt him. So Killian's response is, wonderful. Should we send Sneezy after her or Happy, which is the dwarf she despises? Like, we had that line. So, and then there was another dig when they're looking at the picture that is a screenshot of the episode. That one they played off better. That one could have been a photo.
Mm-hmm.
But Happy's in the background, and you have David go, we invited Happy to that thing. It felt weird that it's in this multiple times, and I thought maybe it was this is a year after this had happened, so I don't really know if it's connected at all. It just felt weird. I think it was December of 2013. There was some weird altercation on Twitter with Michael Coleman and some fans, because I think he was doing like an AMA kind of thing. And someone asked about his feelings on Swan Queen, which the Swan Queen fans, I guess I say this all the time, the Swan Queen fans are, most of the time, I would say, they're usually not on the right. This time it went too far. And this is the case, there are receipts. The link is in the show notes for this situation.
Okay.
You have to scroll down a little bit on the page, but the page that I have linked has basically the screenshots of everything. And like, what it boiled down to is he was what he initially said was like, Captain's actually, is there an initial? Yes, they asked, what do you think of Swan Queen? He said, I think it's not going to happen. There's nicer ways of saying that, but it's the internet, whatever. And then the fan kind of like doubled down on like, but like we can see the chemistry, like what? And he went, and then he said, as someone who works with them and is on the show, it's just not there. But both lovely, not a ship over. Which that's actually an okay response.
Yeah,
like they're lovely people, but not happening. And then he does say, you guys are welcome to ship what you like, but it's not going to happen. Nor do the cast or creators want it to happen. That's when he starts talking for other people that it starts to become a thing. Like the fans kind of double down, but then he calls them rude or whatever. But then he says how funny, how rude this, he says Snow Queen, but he meant Swan Queen fans have become. It's noticed by all cast, Jen and Lana included, doesn't look good on you. That's when he starts pissing people off.
Oh my God.
Because at that point, Adam does eventually tweet, to be clear, Michael Coleman does not speak for me, Eddie, the cast, or anyone at once. We sincerely apologize for any misunderstanding. And like people ask like, and the one person was like, oh, he stood up for himself. And he went, nothing wrong with standing up for yourself when attacked. What's wrong with speaking for others on the show, which he doesn't. And someone's like, why would he do this? And you're like, I have no idea. And then it got to a point where, let me see if I can find Lana's. So at one point, Lana responds to him at one point.
Oh.
Because he then tweets, to be clear, I never said this, nor would I understand. He's like uncertain as to why the sudden hate, but he did say Lana, he spoke for Lana. And then Lana says, no hate, just clarification. Happy holidays, Michael, with a smile emoticon. So like I was like, is this what it's about? I genuinely, because Lana eventually tweeted, Michael Coleman doesn't speak for me. I love all our fans and appreciate your love for the characters. #Swan Queen, #Evil Eagles. So like, it's a case of it was just weird. And this is one of those few times where like, I can dig up fandom drama with receipts.
It's so cool. I'm like, I wasn't there, but now I am.
So that's like what I'm like. So that happened in December of 2013. So it just feels if
Twitter was still cool.
But this episode aired. Just figure they wrote it maybe like, I don't know, September of 2014. So we're almost a year later. Or maybe I don't know. They wrote it in 2014. So like it's just.
I mean, it could have been a little bit of bitterness.
It could have been
a little bit of a stab back situation.
It's what it felt like.
It's interesting,
but it just that just stuck out to me. I'm like, why did they like kind of dig at Happy twice?
They were twice as mad
because he's in this season. We saw him in 4 too.
So it's not like he lost his job or anything. I mean, there's contracts and stuff.
No, I mean, to be fair,
how that works.
He's a recurring player anyway. So like, if they don't really need him, they don't have to bring him back. He's not guaranteed a certain number of episodes anyway. Like some of like Leroy, like he's recurring. Like he's never, Grumpy's never guaranteed.
He's not Happy. He's Leroy. Like it's I noticed the other dwarves, you tend to hear them by their dwarf name.
Yeah, it's different.
Not Leroy. Leroy is Leroy.
Exactly. So it's a little different. But yeah, it's just my apologies for digging up that fandom drama for anyone that was also around to remember it and now pointing out how long ago it was. You're welcome.
It is what it is.
Well,
aging is a gift.
It is a gift.
I tell myself as my knees pop every morning.
Yeah. Well, I did a live yesterday because I was trying to keep myself awake, and I was running off of 2 hours of sleep and then had to leave my apartment at basically 7 a.m. to then go into Manhattan and come back. And I need to get myself awake because if I fell asleep at 4 o'clock, that wasn't going to do me any good.
No.
And I made a Mean Girls reference. I made a joke. I said, in this case, the limit does exist. And I had literally just said something to the effect of this creator is older than she appears. And someone in the chat went, oh my God, a Mean Girls reference? I'm like, to revisit that creator's older than she appears. I saw the original Mean Girls in theaters.
I don't think I saw it in theaters because my parents wouldn't let us. But I mean, that movie has not stopped in our millennials will be quoting Mean Girls when they're in old people homes.
No, exactly.
We're gonna gather around the television, dears, to watch Mean Girls, and then somehow still watch Mean Girls 2 because it just makes sense to
gather around the Snapchat, children, and I'll tell you the tale of the landline. No, like genuinely though, we're gonna be like telling the orderlies in our nursing home, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
I just see us all like making our little like the crochet circles are going to be interesting because it's just going to be like some drama from a reality TV show in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Like the younger generation would be like, okay, grandma, go back to bed.
Yep. So, but yeah, we are. Aging is a gift.
Aging is a gift.
We remind ourselves that every day. So, what I was saying before about this arc feeling, constantly feeling a little unbalanced. Of we're seeing much more Storybrooke than we are seeing Enchanted Forest stuff this season than we ever have before. Because I would say in the past it's fairly evenly split. It's probably a good like 11 minute, or not 11 minutes, 22 minutes of each per episode. But with this one, it feels like we should be getting more. But in truth, because this is a case where the flashbacks are telling the background directly for what's happening in the present. Like everything had to happen for this to go as it's going right now.
Yeah.
It works. There isn't really enough story there because the story genuinely is. It's a little bit of Ingrid's flashbacks, but then they find the urn. She starts doing all of this, and now we're moving forward with what's happening here. So like, because it's not like this long drawn out story of decades and centuries and other shit, like it's a few months of these people's lives, if that, maybe a few weeks of these people's lives that created all of the chaos that's happening in the present. It can be shorter because it doesn't really, what we're seeing, the main plot of this arc is the Storybrooke stuff. The flashbacks are just further context, where in the past, the flashbacks were their own plot, basically.
True. Yeah, you're right.
I occasionally have
cohesive.
I have analytical thoughts.
As we do an analytical watch of shows.
Mm-hmm. This is true. Very true. Opening hours from 10 to 10. Opening hours till 10. Very generous indeed. That's a late. Those are like long operating hours for a library with one employee.
That really is.
Because they're open from like, I think like 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
10 p.m.?
That's what it said.
Ah.
Uh-huh.
So, I think ours closes at 8.
Yeah, I think libraries here close. I mean, most of them close, I think, around 6.
Yeah. I think ours close late just because like some people can't get to the library till after work.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it's 5, 6 o'clock. Like, so they seem sometimes, I think, they stay open a little bit later so that way people can stop by after work.
Yeah, I think some days there are later hours because there's some programs that like run until like 8 o'clock, but
ours does like movie nights and trivias and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. Like they'll be open. Yeah, I think those kind of events usually start at like 5, 6 o'clock. So they have to be open till 8 so that, but yeah, they do movie nights, all kinds of. Check your local library, people. They do a lot of stuff. Mine even has like beginner sewing classes.
Yeah, they do all kinds of stuff. Your library is more than just books.
Yep,
ours is fantastic.
3D printer.
There you go. Yeah, a lot of them do makerspaces.
I'm seeing that.
Yeah, that became really a trend. It became a trend for a while. I think it's the case of it became a trend for a while, and now a lot of libraries are kind of stuck with them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were very popular for a very small window of time, so libraries hustled to get them, and now they're kind of stuck with them, and they don't really know what to do with them. So they have to have events where people like make stuff. Otherwise, it's just a piece of technology taking up space.
Makes sense.
But what's actually funny is I was listening to the episode that went out today. That was for 319, and that was where Henry gets his memories back. And you were under thing of like, can Regina just be happy? I was like, with Henry, we're solid. And this episode is a good example of that because you see Regina, I can sit here and keep pretending to read about Wolverine, or you can talk about what happened with Emma. And like, she's just like, she's a good mom. She's pretending to be interested in this thing for a few seconds before she just goes, can I at least look at the wound? Not that I don't trust the eye doctor's diagnosis. Because she can heal him because her magic's in check. Because it is, because her emotions are more or less stable. And she's in a good place to help Henry with his thing of he doesn't feel special.
That's true.
Which is a good seed to be planted for future seasons. Because he's a kid. Also, let's be fair, he's a kid. So like, that's a good take for a kid. Also, I think the line I was talking about the other day last week or 2 weeks ago that I couldn't mention was when Regina walks into the loft the first time and after when she has the locator potion. And like David's like, we were trying to call you. I'm sorry if I don't respond to your every summons. I was like, now may I see my son, please? You might want to finish buttoning your shirt first. Oh, well, I was in a rush to get here. Sure you were.
Yeah.
She's a little busy. And it's fair. It's a good balance. If she's a mom, she's allowed to have that. Mm-hmm. Henry, while hurt, not in mortal danger.
Like, he's doing fine.
He's doing okay. So this also, though, is a case of, I think this is the first time we've seen a version of a locator spell used the same multiple times, because we mostly
It was nice.
We have seen so many different kinds of locator potions. It was good to see one that we've seen before, which is
just keep using the same thing. That's how magic systems work.
Yeah, you can keep using it.
This is how this is the spell for this. That's how it works. Okay, you don't have to do it 15 different ways. Just tried and true.
Exactly. And then you have Ingrid with her astral projection, which, to be fair, mirror magic generally requires a mirror on the other end.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
I
mean, I know that's the Shattered Sight mirror, so maybe it's special, but
of course it's special. It has to be written that way so that she can do that.
I wasn't complaining, but the fact of everywhere they put her, I really hope on like the wet road she was wearing Uggs or something.
I hope so.
Because they went to such lengths to show us that she's barefoot.
They did. It's a lot of feet.
In this episode specifically, like, I know the reason why they started it that way is because she said, like, if you put me in heels, I'm tripping over everything. Mm-hmm. So, like, as if you can't, my guess is if you can't see her feet, she's probably wearing Uggs, would be my guess. But they went to great lengths to show us that she's barefoot, which I found. So I really hope on like the wet ground, she was wearing shoes. I hope.
I would hope so.
For just for health reasons.
Probably fine. Like her little set with her snow room. That's because it's not actually cold in there. It's a set.
No. Exactly.
Like, she's okay, but outdoors, out there where they film and everything, no, it's gonna be so cold and wet.
Yeah. Well, it's like it can't be fun in the forest. Although there was I was watching one of the recent convention videos that she was at, and they asked what their hardest scene was to film, and hers is a scene from Shattered Sight. And she mentioned in it, I thought, I have memories of seeing this photo. And don't say I don't do things for this podcast. I scrolled through multiple actors' Instagrams back 10 years.
Oh my God.
To find this photo. Didn't find it, but I tried.
It's like when you had to go through Tumblr and couldn't find something and it popped up randomly like a year later.
Exactly. I'm going to find it in a random ass folder someday. But I tried. But it's a photo of her basically with her script laid out in front of her in that set. Like when you can see like her crossed legs with her Ugg boots, just like trying to like pay attention. Because it's a big scene. It's like she wanted to do it justice. We'll talk about more of that in the Shattered Sight episode. But don't say I don't do things with this podcast.
I know that you do.
I scrolled through multiple Instagrams back. I had to go back 10 years and didn't find it.
No, we keep just dropping how old we are now. Like, oof.
I had to. Because they filmed
it. You had a choice.
Yeah, I had 10. Honestly, oh God, 11 years.
Okay, no more math. No more numbers. Move on. Nah. Well, I say as we need to do numbers soon.
We will have to do numbers soon. I'm done ranting. Because I was picking up a lot of things that both the writers and the directors are putting in that are callbacks to things that I thought were really smart. Because in the beginning of part 2, when Elsa puts Anna back in the cell so they can try and do their ruse that doesn't work, they make a very big point of Elsa looking at the shackles on the ground, which is both a foreshadowing that Ingrid's going to use the shackles on them, but I saw that as a callback to Elsa remembering being shackled to the ground in Frozen.
Yeah.
It's like, good on you, Ralph. That's good. But I did love, after Anna's thing of like, surprise, but like more dour, like she's trying to figure out how to say it, and then you just have Ingrid's, surprise! How is that? Because, like, it's supposed to be very sinister, but she's so proud of herself. Like, how can you be mad at her, even though, you're the one shackled to the ground, but she's just like so proud of herself.
She's so happy. Like, just, you gotta let, like, she's it's a trauma response. Let her be happy in her moments.
It is, yeah, exactly. Enjoy them. But to be fair, the more of this I watch after remembering that thing that she said that Georgina said she reminded her of a scary clown. Anytime she smiles, that's now what I see. Basically. Smiles like villainy wise.
Yeah.
But another part with her voice that I pulled out, besides the just getting quieter and quieter and quieter, in the scene with Emma on the ground, it's her voice being controlled or not controlled. When she's talking to Emma, she's very forceful and loud, partially because she has to be heard because it's outside and loud, but she's doing so because she's unsure if her warning is going to work. Like it's that her voice is this is my analysis of it. Whether this was correct or not, I have no idea, but that's what it feels like. That her voice is the volume of her voice is attached to, her certainty, which is if that's what the thought she put into it, it's so good.
It is.
And even if she didn't, it came through.
Just give me a master class on how, she did everything she did with her voice. Like her and Lana. Like, and so similar yet different ways. They're like everything they do with their voices and their faces. And I'm just like, teach, please.
Like the two of them together would be such a good masterclass on subtle acting because Elizabeth Mitchell would be such a good using voice with your character. Lana she can act with the smallest of muscles. She can act with her jaw.
Everything.
Like she can use the smallest bit of her face.
Which she does great in this, but like the other show that you had me watch, Why Women Kill, she does it so much better in that one.
Yeah, that one's a lot. It requires so much of it though, because that one also she's putting on such a facade with that one. So it's a case of like you kind of see the realness coming through the facade and when she puts it back on and like all that stuff.
So good.
It's amazing. But you get a quarter from the Hope Commission every time you say that word. Admit it. Because it's another example of Snow mothering Regina a lot more than Regina ever mothered Snow, which makes perfect sense. Why would a cat want a hat? Makes me laugh every time. I have no idea why.
But when he pulled out the cat in the hat, I just had this moment of like, okay, they can show that. We're good. It was too fucking cute.
It was weird.
It was so weird, but it was cute.
It was.
Because that's like one of the most well-known books for children.
Exactly. Which it hits home the point of he has no idea of anything in this realm.
None whatsoever.
None at all. Maybe Hope worked. Well, if it did, I owe you a quarter. I like that they did an immediate callback to it, which worked really well. Another blooper brain rot, in the same vein of when Rumple, throws Killian against the gate and almost kills him, is with the phone is, I don't do loose ends. I've dropped the phone. Like he says it in character as the phone lands on the ground. It's just very funny. But I also wrote Killian tied to the gate. Kinky.
Very.
Like, I had to. I feel like at this point I'm just required to. But this was another thing with the urn again. Because I'm just looking at my notes now. The powers of this urn are still so unclear. Just open the lid. They never tell us if it's sealed for a certain amount of time or what happens if you open it immediately.
We have no idea.
Just take off the lid. I don't understand. But how do you feel about Ingrid's increasing trauma response being eventually everyone sees me as a monster? Well, maybe it's time I embrace that and become one. And then she freezes all of Arendelle.
Everyone.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, she's right. It worked.
It does. She becomes, and this, I say this all the time. She's, she's a very reactionary villain. I think the first time we ever hear her call herself a villain was in the last episode when she talks to Rumple before she tells him like the thing. Like she says, I want the same thing every villain wants, to have what I deserve. And but up until that point in the storyline, she didn't see herself as a villain. She was simply going after what she thought she was owed, like anybody else would.
Yeah.
But like that's her truly becoming a villain, is her realizing that what she feels she's owed will only come at the expense of others. So that's how a villain operates.
That is how a villain operates.
So I like that we have a moment, because we very rarely see that of the moment the villain embraces their villainy.
It's rare.
And it's done well. I'll say that. It's the only time we see that in this season, but I would say this is probably the only time it's actually like it holds up. Because there's enough time. Because with 3 villains next season, they're going to try and do that again, but we only have one flashback episode for one of them, and it doesn't really work that great.
Ooh.
Like, just because it's just like, that's it. That's all we get. Because that's a
all
case
you're
of,
gonna do.
we needed more episodes. We just needed more episodes of that character specifically. I'm still mad she left first. I'm mad any of them left, but I'm mad specifically that she left first. Although her episode does come with a great guest star.
That's fair.
So there's always that, which comes with more fun stories. I have so many stories for the latter half of the season because I watch interviews with those 3 women
all the time
recently, just for fun, quite frankly. So I'm going to be referencing probably the same 3 videos a lot.
That's fine.
Next half.
Can I even watch them?
Not until we're done with the arc.
Oh my god.
But also, to be fair, it's the same 3 videos. They are 3 Dragon Con panels. They're 3-hour-long panel videos.
Wow.
That I have watched multiple times.
Which kills me because I live so close to where, Dragon Con is, and I will probably never go. There are a handful of people that I would be like, I need to go to this. And And that list is very small.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the videos of people who go, of the crowds at Dragon Con. It doesn't seem to be regulated on how many people they let in.
No, there seems very little regulation on the crowd sizes or the attire for that matter.
No, no. Like I've seen plenty of footage and I know people really love it. And like, I love Atlanta where there are plenty, but at the same time, I'm like, not Dragon Con. No. Like to the point that a couple of the people on the list, if they were ever to attend, I would literally be like, can I please come meet you for dinner after you are done? Like, please don't make me go into Dragon Con.
This is a video of the three of them that I can reference because it's out of context entirely. Because it was and this is a video that I actually can't link because it doesn't exist on YouTube anymore. Trust me, I've tried to find it. There is a GIF set I think I can link though. I think if I can find it. But it was their interview after they did their panel, and like they're all like just a little bit loopy and crazy, and one of them had a show to do after that was part of Dragon Con after this anyway, but they're like the whole time they're like, there's a glass of rosé at the end of this interview. But they asked how they felt about their time at Dragon Con, and it was Maren Dungy who said, well, sometimes it feels like it's clothing optional here at Dragon Con. Then she goes like, well, you know, they asked her, she's like, well, I haven't seen a penis. And then Vic goes, in years, darling, in years. And Kristen goes like, no, hang on, you have 2 kids, you've seen a penis. She's like, not at Dragon Con. And then they go,
it has to be a Dragon Con.
Then she goes like, oh, remember that guy with the Speedo? That was almost a penis. And then they're talking about something else. And then Mary just goes, wait, hang on. That should be a band name, Almost a Penis. They look like a penis like just going down the street. But it devolved, I think I've told the story before, but it devolved entirely into, that's why as a kid, she didn't want to say the word pianist because she was afraid she would say
That's
penis.
Everyone's fear.
But Kristen Bauer had a good way of referencing this. She went, she's like, there's not really a lot of call to say the word pianist when you're 4 or at my age either for that matter.
Yeah, well, you don't really have to say that very often. Are you listening to a lot of jazz?
Apparently. So
Almost a penis, my God. And that probably shouldn't be a title, but it would be a great one.
That can't be our title.
That cannot be our title.
Mainly because it also is it's of a tangent that has nothing to do with this episode.
No.
There's times when that's an appropriate title. This is
not one of them.
If I tell that story again during 4B, maybe.
That almost a penis. Oh,
but it's
God.
that dynamic of I haven't seen a penis in years, darling. That's their dynamic. Like I've shown you videos of Lana and Bex and said this is us. The 3 of them, most specifically Vic and Maren, is also us.
Okay.
Like it's amazing.
Like it's to the point, guys, that our friends text us things of like, these are you two, and we're just both sitting here like, if you ever put us in a room together. The things that would happen.
Essentially.
Because we've never met each other, but like at the same time,
exactly.
We just know.
This is true. But I have something before we do stats, and I have something for after stats, because we've gone on
She was prepared.
I came prepared. This is a long episode. What I was saying about Ingrid being a reactionary villain and how her response, she's a trauma response. But when the apprentice comes to stop her from giving the hat to Rumpel, and she says like, I thought he has to make deals with people like me, and he says like the sorcerer has his ways, and sometimes people surprise you. All Ingrid needed to do the right thing was one person to believe she's not a monster. That's all she needed. And like that's such clever writing.
Oh man,
it's so good.
It's also like infuriating too, because you're just like,
a little,
froze a whole place.
There's a quote in Shattered Sight that I want to say that I won't because it's so good.
No.
But it's in reference to the kingdom being frozen, so.
Yeah.
But So actually I have one tiny thing, which I'll point out again probably when we get to it, and then we do stats, just because it was a small thing. I thought it was really well done. It's a case of this episode and 418, Sympathy for the DeVille, have the same writers. And Snow says, she says something to Regina about having a chance at grace. Regina is going to parrot those exact words in 418.
Ooh.
And I thought that was really smart because it's written by the same writing pair. I was like that's cool. I'll point this out again.
It's the attention to detail that we really enjoy.
When they have it, yeah.
When it exists.
But yeah. So Katie, what'd you think? What's your score?
So I gave plot and personal 8s.
Okay, that's fair.
Because personally, I did enjoy it. Of course, there's just things that I'm just like, okay, because like the first half was boring. Part one's totally a little boring. But I gave character 10 because every single character in this episode just is perfect.
Yeah.
Like Rumple does his thing. Emma's it's part of the storyline. I get it. So I don't fault it. It's boring, but I don't fault it. And she does well with it. Fair. Regina and Robin. And then you got everything with Killy. Like everybody just does such a great job. And of course, Ingrid and her, bones and the things. I can't complain. So it's a 26, which I think is pretty good.
No, that's a fantastic score. Because honestly, given the fact that you told me you were afraid because you were enjoying the arc so much that you don't, that you're afraid that it's going to let you down, which is a fair fear to have because we saw what happened with 3A. So, and to be fair, and what I say that this is an arc that lost a lot of viewers. Like it's a fair thing to.
Peter Pan didn't, but this did.
Yeah, no, make it make sense. It doesn't.
Where are my queers? Like, there's just no way.
Genuinely, no, genuinely. I genuinely think the people that stuck through Peter Pan, and this is a gross generalization. If you're offended, I'm sorry, but whatever. I'm making gross generalizations. The people that stuck through Pan but left because of this arc, they stayed for a man and left for a woman.
Ooh.
We have a little bit of internalized misogyny going on here. Just saying.
Because the storyline is just, to me, so much better than the writing is more cohesive.
Because think about how a lot of I think we said this about Robbie K the first time, that people that simped after him gave the vibes of people simping after Taylor Lautner and Robert Pattinson.
It's creepy, guys. If they're not over 18, please stop.
There's really no, there's Kristoff, there's Scott Michael Foster, but he's not in a whole lot of this arc. There hasn't been a male villain to simp after since 3A. And even then, you really shouldn't have. So honestly, there hasn't been a new one since Hook.
And Hook's different.
He's different now. Yeah. So, and to be fair, it won't be until, you won't really have another possibly simping after male character until the beginning of season 5.
That's okay.
So for the queers, but this, so just pointing out, people stuck through Pan, but they couldn't deal with the Frozen characters. And I think that people should unpack that if that happened to them.
I've always been weirded out by the whole Taylor Lautner, even Robert Pattinson a little bit, but especially to the Taylor Lautner.
Because he was so young.
He was so young. And of course, this kid was too. He was not of age.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the rule too. I say this as a fully married woman who's not dating anybody. If they're not of drinking age, no. Like, I've hung out, I've been around younger people with jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to a 23-year-old made me feel so old that I'm like, how would anybody want to date you if they're not in your age range?
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Because it's not about, relatability.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. So I gave plot an 8 because it's moving the plot forward. It's good plot. There's the portal thing, which that's the thing that I'm like, that's because basically anytime there's a pacing issue like portals, and I'm going to go over this. This is the thing I'm saving till the end. That takes a point off of plot because we don't have a pacing category anymore because it wouldn't make sense. But that's where my pacing notes go.
Yeah, pacing we do for movies though.
Yeah, I used to do pacing for the old stats we rewatch because by myself I could do that, but for new viewers it doesn't make any sense. So plot gets an 8, character gets a 9. I love everything. Ingrid's a walking trauma response, and we work through our problems, and also the fact of Emma goes from 0 to 1,000 with her magical capabilities.
Yeah.
She goes from I might hurt my son by accident to let me conjure fireworks. Maybe we fix that.
Yeah.
And I'm fully blaming the men that wrote this on that. But I gave Personal a 10. I enjoy this episode wholeheartedly. I was watching it quickly because I had a long day the next day. I was just crunched for time. But ultimately, it was a lot of fun for me to watch. This gets a 27. So I think this is the second week in a row we're off by 1.
Yeah, we keep doing that.
Yeah. But my thing with the portal. So there's a reason why The Apprentice can conjure portals. We'll go over that. I think it's next season that gets touched on. But when Ingrid walks through the portal, they very specifically tell us that it's our world in 1982.
Yeah.
That
was kind of early, right?
That only works if this portal also goes through time. So they don't tell us this, but it only because where we are in the arc, which I haven't been updating the timeline, which I will do, but
I haven't looked at it in a little while.
Their arc only happens within the span of a few weeks anyway, so I can just use any of them. So where it makes the most sense, given the fact that we see Anna go to David's farm clearly before the shepherd, that this all and this is Belle before Skin Deep. This has to be about 10 years before the curse gets cast.
Wow.
At least. So
damn, they've been frozen for a while.
They've been frozen for longer than you'll realize until you find out why. Just you wait. So 1982 is, for if you've been listening and remember small details, that's only 1 year before Emma shows up through the wardrobe, because she's born, because her birthday is late 1983. So this is also, I find it funny, they gave us that very specific marker, but the very beginning just says a long time ago Arendelle. So like it's implying that maybe this portal does go through time, because the point of the portal is that it brings Ingrid to the time and place where she can, she's a patient woman, she'll have to wait, but I'm taking off the point because it doesn't make any sense. But if we read deeper into it, which we have to now, it's bringing her to the time and place where she'll have the exact time she needs to wait for her new sister and to get Elsa back.
At this point, I just need to find the episode that I go on my rant about time travel, and we'll just like pinpoint that every time. This seems to continue to be an issue. Like, how many times do I get to rant about traveling through time and space?
Yes. Well, so this portal has to go through. This portal quite literally has to go through time and space.
Yeah,
and to be fair, it's a magical portal.
It's
not like we're not talking about like a sci-fi portal or something like that, or like because portal jumping, that does need to go through time for it to go correctly, and in space for it to go correctly. But like,
it's not. But like then you add in like the realms as well,
and there's different planes of existence and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was enough. It was egregious enough that I took off a point. However, once we analyze and make it, more academic, it's less annoying.
Like when you have to just accept when it's like when it comes to time travel, I will give every pass I can to something that is mostly fantasy based.
And that's what this is.
That's what this is. But when it comes to anything science fiction, I will judge your time and travel so harshly. Because that math is like impossible to do.
As you should.
So I'll give them a pass on Once Upon a Time. But if you ever come at me with something sci-fi, and they do, it's a paradox.
It's a good thing my next show is not fantasy sci-fi.
No, I haven't chosen mine yet, though.
We have time.
Oh, we have plenty of time. Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers Season 8, Episode 8, V for Valentine Detta, and Episode 9, Y tu Gaga Tambien. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and Blue Sky. And if you'd like to join our Patreon, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.